Another day, another story. The Red Scare refers to two distinct periods in American history characterized by intense fear and paranoia about the potential threat posed by communists and left-wing radicals. The first Red Scare occurred in the aftermath of World War I, and the second Red Scare emerged in the late 1940s and lasted through the 1950s during the Cold War. Below is the full story of both Red Scares. Welcome to Tabot Eminent Channel. First Red Scare, 1917-1920. The first Red Scare occurred during and after World War I, from around 1917 to 1920. The Russian Revolution in 1917, which led to the establishment of the Soviet Union, sparked widespread fear among many Americans that similar communist uprisings could happen in the United States. Additionally, a series of labor strikes and growing political radicalism fueled public anxiety. The United States had been experiencing labor unrest and socialist movements throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries. During the war, the American government, led by President Woodrow Wilson, sought to suppress dissent and opposition to the war effort. The Espionage Act of 1917 and the Sedition Act of 1918 were passed, giving the government sweeping powers to punish anyone who spoke out against the war or advocated for the overthrow of the government. The U.S. Department of Justice, under the leadership of Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer, conducted a series of raids on radical organizations, labor unions, and immigrant communities suspected of harboring leftist ideologies. These raids, known as the Palmer Raids, resulted in the arrest of thousands of people, many of whom were immigrants. Many were detained without proper warrants or due process, and some were eventually deported. The first Red Scare eventually subsided, partly due to the public's growing concern about the erosion of civil liberties and the lack of concrete evidence of a widespread communist conspiracy in the United States. Second Red Scare, 1947-1957. The Second Red Scare, often referred to as the McCarthy era, took place in the late 1940s and lasted throughout much of the 1950s. It was driven by the escalating tensions of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, the spread of communism in Eastern Europe, and the successful Soviet acquisition of nuclear weapons. In 1947, President Harry S. Truman signed an executive order that established a loyalty program for federal employees, requiring them to undergo loyalty screenings. This action further fueled fears of communist infiltration into the government and other institutions. One of the key figures during this era was Senator Joseph McCarthy, a Republican from Wisconsin. In 1950, McCarthy claimed that he had a list of known communists working within the U.S. State Department. This unsubstantiated accusation set the stage for a period of intense anti-communist fervor, witch hunts, and blacklisting of alleged communists or sympathizers in various sectors, including government, entertainment, education, and labor. The House Un-American Activities Committee, WAC, played a prominent role in investigating and interrogating individuals suspected of communist affiliations. Many Hollywood actors, writers, and directors were targeted, leading to the infamous Hollywood blacklist, which destroyed the careers of numerous individuals in the entertainment industry. The Second Red Scare gradually lost momentum as McCarthy's sensationalist and unsubstantiated accusations were exposed, and public opinion began to turn against him. In 1954, the televised Army McCarthy hearings further discredited the senator, and he was censured by the Senate. McCarthy's downfall marked the decline of the Second Red Scare, and he died in 1957. Both Red Scares left a lasting impact on American society and politics. They contributed to the rise of anti-communist sentiments, the establishment of loyalty programs, and the perpetuation of fear and suspicion toward political dissidents or those with leftist ideologies. In later years, the country reflected on the damaging effects of these periods on civil liberties and individual rights. 1. The case of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. During the height of the Second Red Scare, one of the most controversial and highly publicized cases was that of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. 1. Julius Rosenberg, an electrical engineer, and his wife Ethel were accused of being Soviet spies and passing atomic secrets to the Soviet Union. 1. The U.S. government believed that their actions contributed to the Soviet Union's development of the atomic bomb. The trial of the Rosenbergs began in March 1951, and they were found guilty of espionage in April 1951. Despite pleas for clemency from around the world, including from renowned intellectuals and artists, the Rosenbergs were sentenced to death. Their case garnered international attention and ignited passionate debates about the fairness of the trial and the use of the death penalty for espionage. Many believed that the Rosenbergs were unfairly targeted due to the anti-communist hysteria of the time, while others saw them as dangerous spies who had jeopardized national security. On June 19, 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing Correctional Facility in New York. The Rosenberg case remains a symbol of the extreme measures taken during the Second Red Scare and continues to be a subject of historical and ethical debate. 1. The McCarran-Walter Act of 1952. The McCarran-Walter Act, officially known as the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, was a significant piece of legislation passed during the Second Red Scare. 1. It was a comprehensive immigration reform bill that made several important changes to U.S. immigration policy. The act was passed over President Harry S. Truman's veto, reflecting the widespread anti-immigrant and anti-communist sentiments of the time. The law retained a quota system for immigration based on national origin, which favored immigrants from Western and Northern European countries and severely restricted immigration from Asia and other parts of the world. Moreover, the McCarran-Walter Act included provisions that allowed for the deportation of immigrants suspected of being communists or subversives. It expanded the grounds for denying entry to or deporting individuals based on their political beliefs or affiliations. The law's passage was met with both support and opposition. Proponents argued that it was necessary to protect national security and prevent potential subversives from entering the country. The McCarran-Walter Act was eventually repealed and replaced by the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which eliminated the national origins quota system and focused on promoting family reunification and attracting skilled immigrants. These additional stories shed more light on the complexities and controversies surrounding the Red Scare and its far-reaching implications on American society and immigration policy. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.